I'm Larry Thompson. This is a piece I created a few years ago. It's called El Pollo Gallero. You see me limping and ask me why, and I might tell you the tale, but you'd never believe how a 40-ounce bird could put a man through hell. It happened last summer in San Angelo. The sun was hanging hot and low, and to the rodeo grounds we was heading to see the summer's best show. Now the story was that the centerpiece of this festival in town was a fantastic competition pitting sinew versus down. Now team roping pairs from across the west had gathered near about noon to set their gear and to get their draws and with other teams commune. And the game was roping, but the opponent here was not your average calf. Now the villain in this here ring would make the audience laugh. Big old roosters with names like Devil or Jalapeno Joe would be the competition in this chicken team roping rodeo. Now, just like the bulls, the worst of them are given names of fame, like Cholula Chewy or Firebrand or even Red Hot Flame. But the meanest one was a Rhode Island Red that went by the name of Boudin. The rumors on this here bird, they said he nibbled on rocks and sand. Boudin, they said, was mean as a coyote, and that rooster had never been tied. Well, that fearsome stare and those sharpened spurs made even wolves run and hide. No team that ever drew Boudin was ever going to win that chicken team roping title, and the belt buckle made it 10. But this year they said the red would fall. This year he'd meet his match, because a team from the south was coming up and the title they planned to catch. This team from the south was known through the west with a header of legend told. El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, and his healer, Poncho Joe. We was all excited and waiting to see this cowboy of western renown. We was all sure El Pollo Gallero was not going to let us down. But some trouble sprang up with Poncho Joe. Seems the sheriff had thrown him in jail, missing his child support payments again, and no money to float his bail. We pushed back our hats and scratched our heads. How could this cowboy compete? Seems that once again old Boudin had scratched his way clear of defeat. Or just as we'd hoped, that famous roper had drawn Boudin for the contest, but he'd need a healer, a sturdy man without any fear in his chest. But then, to our shock and surprise, El Pollo called out to the crowd, "Is there a cowboy here whose heart is clear and whose chest is not filled with doubt?" Well, he scanned the crowd and he settled on me. I don't know how I caught his gaze, but he gave me a wave and one of his nods, and I was soon on my way. We stood in that sand and I handled my rope. My body was covered with sweat. But El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, his brow was not even wet. We knew the rules and had seen the mistakes them other cowboys had made, like letting the rooster touch your leg or knocking your own partner out the way. But I was scared, and I knew them tales of that rooster named Boudin, and I knew cowboys he'd injured along the way made them eat dirt and sand. But El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, was calm. He stood in his place. Boudin got behind that gate, and he looked me dead in the face. "Hombre," he said, "just stay by my side. That chicken has fear in his eyes." But I didn't see it. I just seen a flash, and then Boudin charged with surprise. And El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, he leaped into the air. "No touch, no foul," called the judges. And El Pollo Gallero landed with care. And then Boudin turned and headed for me, and I dove to the side with a shout. And El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, he rolled his lasso out. But I landed on the cap of my knee, and my face wound up in the sand. There I was on all fours with Boudin, I in my can. And he headed for me, and I knew I was toast. His spurs would find their mark, and I'd be sore for a month or more with bruises purple and dark. And the crowd stood up and laughed and cheered, They knew what was coming my way, but El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, he let loose with the throw of the day. And it seemed to me as time slowed down as I seen that loop leave his wrist and that noose found its mark on the neck of that bird, and I saw Boudin start to twist. And what happened next is a mystery to me. I somehow managed to throw, and when Boudin spun and tried to break free, I caught him and wouldn't let go. The judges raced in and called it a match, and I held fast to my snare. And El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, just stared down at Boudin with a glare. "Well done, amigo," he said to me, and I let loose of my rope, and I cleared my throat and rubbed my knee. I didn't want to sound like a dope. "No sweat," I said, "it's what I do." He looked at me and then turned, and El Pollo Gallero, that famous vaquero, reached down and picked up that bird. And I watched him as he walked away with Boudin tucked under his arm. And he gave the crowd a hearty wave, and he took their cheers with charm. And staggering to my feet, I lurched and called out after the man, "Vaya con Dios, El Pollo Gallero, I am your #1 fan." And he turned to me and he held that bird high as the cheers rained down from the crowd. "Via KFC," he said to me, and I knew where that chicken was bound. Now, chicken team roping is not for the meek. It could be a pain in your rear. But if El Pollo Gallero looks your way, cleanse your heart of all your fear. And if the bird you draw in the contest is a descendant of Boudin, well, stand your ground and dry your palms and throw as best you can.